What is going on, guys? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Roni here from SpeedLab once again with another video. This is going to be a follow-up. It's essentially a part 2 of the last video that I posted. However, I still have not put the subframe in, and so the front end is out and all that, you know, good stuff. We still haven't pulled the brake booster. The dash is completely peeled back, so I can get the heater core and, you know, all the AC stuff out, because we don't need that anymore. We do have a carbonetics dash arriving at the end of this month. Today's March 1st, so Sergio said towards the end of the month. And the carbon fiber doors, of course, which I'm super excited about. And he has a new mold for the tail lights, so we're gonna get those as well. But in this video, I have the motor out. I have the transmission and transfer case separated. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tear this motor down. Maybe not to the bare bones in this particular video, but I am gonna tear it down to the point that we can get the rods and pistons out, and maybe even the girdle, just to see how the mains look, at least on one side, just because I'm kind of on a time crunch. And well, I mean, all I have to do is remove the ATI damper, really, to get the crank out and the oil pump and all that stuff. So we'll see how far we get. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna time lapse most of it. I'm gonna pull the pan first, and then we'll come and kind of see what we can see under the girdle. Again, remember, guys, we're going with the Magnus dry sump, so the oil pump's gonna be replaced with the dry sump oil pump, which is not an oil pump, it's just a cover. And I'm gonna show you guys how we're gonna mount the actual 4-stage Piston dry sump pump. We do have an Evo Spec power steering delete kit that's gonna go over here. Evo Spec, essentially every single thing that Dan makes, just like we did on the rear, we're doing all over the vehicle, including the engine stuff. So you know, all the pulley bolts, all the cam bolts, alternator nut. We're actually going with a overdrive, oversized, essentially, to slow the speed of the alternator down a little bit, pulley for the alternator, and so yeah, you guys are gonna get to see all that stuff. So yeah, the pan is already sold to one of my customers, so that's probably what I'm gonna remove first. Remove the baffles, you know, maybe pop a bearing cap or two off first, and then of course, you know, pull the cylinder head and pull everything else off. As far as what we're gonna do with the block, what I'm thinking is maybe re-ringing and just re-bearing in the bottom end. I do have L19s to use for the mains, and that's kind of something that we're gonna switch in our engine program. All the SPL 900 stuff is gonna get the L19 main studs. It does torque to about 75 foot-pounds. That's what Boost and Performance calls for. And we torque our 2000s to a different torque spec, different than what it calls for from ARP. So I'm gonna have to torque them up and kind of see how the bores are looking. And we might have to get it line honed again, just touched up, just to, you know, get the mains to be completely straight. But yeah, aside from that, I think we're gonna leave the steel rods for right now. The aluminum rod deal we'll do later on, just because I think it would be cool to run a super low number on steel rods still. And it's going to be possible because the car is going to be pretty light too, after, you know, doing everything that we're going to do to it. As far as the head gasket goes, we're just going to resurface the head, re-o-ring it. I'm going to get a little bit more aggressive with the o-ringing this time, but we're still going to leave the same studs. We're not going to go to 1/2 inch yet. We're not going to go to copper yet, and we're not going to fulfill the block and, you know, weld the coolant passage just shut, and then, you know, start feeding the cylinder head with an electric water pump. We are going to do that later, but for right now, for this iteration, we're just going to keep it like this, and we'll see how far we can push it. I really do believe that with good tuning, you know, the head gasket integrity can be prolonged. Eventually it's going to become a problem because those studs just cannot hold that much cylinder pressure, but yeah, that's gonna be for down the road. So as of right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it on time lapse, and I'm gonna start tearing this apart, and once I get the pan off, I'll be back with you guys. All right, guys. So one of the reasons, well, actually the only reason why I hate the Moroso pan. It's a great pan otherwise, helps a lot with, you know, 60 foots, and if you're doing, you know, pulls and you're pulling some serious G's, it really helps with the oil not sloshing around as much. But look at how much silicone I've had to use, and you guys know I do not like to use a lot of silicone. And when I see this in my own motor, after preaching not using a lot of silicone and having to do so to, you know, keep everything sealed, which by the way did not work the last time either. This is why I do not, you know, I don't know what to say. The car never dropped below 99, 98 psi of oil pressure, even at 10,000 RPM, even with this happening. So, and look at that, I mean, just not pretty. But everything else, I mean, I'm not seeing any metal shavings. That's always a plus. There was nothing going on with the motor to begin with. We do not have to tear this motor apart. It was running perfectly fine. But of course, you know, I want to do this for you guys, and I'm genuinely curious too, and I feel like it's time for a refresh. So what we might do is we might actually swap the crank to a full counterweight, because the power levels that we're going to be going to. But we'll see. So we'll make that decision together later on. So I'm gonna put you guys back on time lapse. I'm gonna take that, or actually I'm not gonna put you guys on time lapse yet. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the baffling off. I'm gonna pop 2 rod caps. I'm gonna push the rod down, loosen the bolts, push the rod down, and we'll discover what's going on together. So see you guys in a sec. All right, the moment of truth. I have not pulled, obviously I pushed it down and I loosened the bolts, but I have not pulled the caps yet. The only 2 differences in this motor versus what is out now from us, SPL 900, this was the last set of diamond pistons that we used. The last set of diamond pistons that we used was in my motor. Ring pack was still the same. It just was not a hard anodized piston, and when they would do the spray coating on the pistons, there would be overspray everywhere, and I would have to go in there with some Scotch-Brite and some steel wool and, you know, get it out of the wrist pin bores, and you know, it was just not a good experience with diamond towards the end. A lot of people still use them. They're fantastic pistons, don't get me wrong. They worked in this engine and many other engines that I've built in the past. Probably 80-90 plus motors with those diamond pistons, if not more, and no issues. But now we offer the Wiseco, so that's another reason why we might just swap to the Wiseco. So we have everything that anybody that orders an SPL 900 is getting in the same motor that I'm going to be running. The only other thing is when I put this motor together, I was waiting for Calico to coat my ACL bearings. So since it was my motor, I put it together with King bearings that were WPC treated. So I'm very curious to see, you know, what kind of wear we're gonna have. The WPC treatment knocks off the coating that, you know, the PMAX coated bearings had, and it leaves a super fine finish that is awesome for oil retention. So I'm very curious to see how they held up. I did run this particular motor looser than I usually do, and that's because I just did not have enough bearing sets at the time. This was when the shortage was going on, to get the desired clearance that I want. So it was about 0.4 of a thou, maybe half a thou looser than what I usually run it. But again, never had oil pressure issues. So I'm very interested to see how they look. So without any further ado, let's take a look at number, and just make sure this is recording. If you're recording, just screen up, there you go. Number 1 and number 4 look. So let's go for number 1. Oops, we dropped the bearing. I literally just dropped the bearing. Okay, let's just... Did I drop the bearing? I did not drop the bearing. It's right here. Sorry about that. Push that one down a tiny bit. Try to fish this bearing out. This is what happens when I'm trying to record one-handedly. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Guys, this looks fucking brand new. That is awesome. I am so happy with that. Okay, let's look at the rod side, which is what I would be more worried about. Man, I cannot believe at what I'm looking at. I mean, I can. I do have faith in myself, of course. Guys, that is awesome as far as wear goes. Are you kidding me? You can pop these back in. Look, you can still see the marks where I was dial bore gauging this thing, but there is literally no, I mean, there's a little bit of wear over here, but nothing that your nail would even catch on there. That is awesome. Let's look at number 4, the last one that gets fed by the oil pump. Same thing here. I'm not seeing any weird discoloration. Dude, man, this is awesome. I guess I can put motors together pretty well. And again, we want to look at that side's going to have more wear because this is the heavier side and this is what pushes down on the crank. So this side naturally is going to have more wear usually. And that looks freaking awesome. Guys, I am fucking blown away. I cannot believe how amazing these bearings look after all that abuse. I mean, we have abused the crap out of this motor. The car did a 60 to 130, a 3.7 60 to 130 at like 54, 55 psi. I've had it higher on the street before, and every single time this car has been out, this engine has seen 9,500, 9,800 RPM, whatever rev limiter I had set for that week that I felt like hitting. So that's super, super cool. Of course, we got to look at 2 and 3, but I already know 2 and 3 are gonna look just as good. I'm not seeing any signs of, you know, overtiming the engine. I'm not seeing any signs of any oil pressure issues, which is freaking awesome. And it makes me really, really happy. And it makes me happy because I get to do this for you guys, and you know, you guys can get to enjoy exactly what what I get to enjoy. So that's a big part of why I do what I do. And just knowing that I have the calico coated stuff now, and we have taken some motors apart for maintenance and things as such, and they look even better in my opinion. But this motor has about 4,000 miles, I want to say, of literally only dyno time and abuse. I mean, we developed our air to water kit, which we kind of put on pause on the dyno. We have ran different turbo packages on this car, different cam profiles on the car. No, we did not run different cam profiles. We just ran S3s. Different boost control strategies on the car. At one point we were, you know, trying out the E-gate stuff, which is what we're going to be running now. But this is really, really cool to see. So yeah, I'm gonna turn the crankshaft. We're gonna pop the other 2 off, and then after that it's just gonna be pulling everything off and pulling the cylinder head, see how the chambers look, see how the top of the pistons look, and how the skirts look, and all that stuff. So I don't know why I get so excited to take stuff apart. I get more excited to take things apart, guys, than I do when I put them together. And a part of the reason is because it's my workmanship, it's my parts, it's my name on the line, and you know, to be able to share it with you guys, you know, to be able to be confident enough to share it with you guys itself is, you know, why I do what I do. So thank you guys for, you know, being loyal supporters, and anybody that's bought a motor from me, gotten tuned by me, and supported me throughout the years. You guys are the reason why I'm still around, and we're just getting started. Yeah, see you guys in a sec. All right, let's go for 2 and 3. This is gonna be number 2. Same deal. None of them really have any more wear than the others, so that is really, really exciting to see. This one too. I mean, there's still a full amount of crush on the bearings, and I mean, shout out to SPL oil as well. Obviously, lubricant keeping everything protected. Crank journals look literally as good as they did when I first put them in. That bearing looks just as good. And so does that. Super, super excited, guys. Can't say it enough. Anyway, you guys are going back on time lapse. I'm gonna take the cylinder head off and all the accessories, and we'll be back to pull the pistons out. right, guys, so something super interesting. I actually did smoke the gasket on number 4. It didn't do anything to the cylinder head, didn't torch it, but I did manage to blow the side of the gasket off ever so slightly, so whatever it was, it probably just lifted for a split second and just sealed itself back up, because we never had any issues with losing coolant, pushing coolant. And after we did the PDM, we had a coolant pressure sensor, so must have happened on the dyno the first time around. Again, the head, nothing's happened to the head, so I'm super happy about that. I'll show you guys the gasket. I have nothing to hide. This is my personal car. Obviously I'm gonna push this, you know, to the edge and above that, and you know, sometimes things are gonna fail. One thing is, I did not have enough protrusion on the cylinder head. When I do the O-ring service, we protrude it at least 5-6 thousandths more than what I had on this. Truth is, when I was assembling my personal motor, I went a little bit too deep on 2 of the cylinders, and again, because it is my motor and not my customer's, I kind of left the protrusion where it was, which was only about 2 thou, 2.5 thou, and the other one was like 4 thou. I believe number 4 was the one with the lower protrusion, but still, you know, 2-3 thou, even 4 thou is not enough protrusion to really do what we wanted to do as far as when it comes to O-ringing. Anyway, we'll go back to that later. Guys, look at these. Look at how nice these look. One thing is, though, I do have to clean these injectors. They've been on E85 for 4,000 miles, 2600s, pump E85 that is. So you can tell by the spark plugs, you know, some are running grit, some are running lean, but you know, these are just kind of things that when you have one wideband sensor looking at the whole air fuel ratio coming in, you're not getting the full story. So that's why you either have to have 4 EGTs or 4 individual widebands if you're trying to make a lot of power and you're trying to have data. But anyway, just looking over here, again, we're not seeing anything over here where we actually slightly torched the gasket. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to push the pistons up, and then we're gonna individually take them out. So I'm just gonna do that real quick from the bottom because I can't do it one-handedly, and then we'll go from there. I have 2%, so before I have to switch the battery. Number 4. Look at that, those DLC pins. Something got in there a little bit on this side. Rings move in and out freely. That was a bearing. Look at that. Look at how free the rings spin. If you ever have any detonation, you'll start hammering this top ring land and you'll close up on it, and then this ring won't go in and out like it is right now. Just beautiful. I'm gonna have to swap the batteries before I do the other ones. Look at that. I mean, can't get much better than that, guys. Still a lot of crosshatch left. Let me swap the battery. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back as promised. Haven't touched anything. Spool number 3. Again, rings are moving freely. That's really what I'm concerned about, and I don't want to see any deck grooves going down all the way. Same thing, something got in here. And the reason I say it got in here, and I don't say it's detonation, is A, we're using E85, of course, which is, you can still make it knock. It's not completely, you know, knock free. You know, you can still make it detonate and rattle on E85. But you see the same kind of trend going down of the skirts. So this is obviously something getting in here and scuffing up the walls, going up and down, then out the exhaust or into the oil pan. The rings are looking really good. Again, those DLC pins are just so awesome. And I bet you guys that as soon as we pop this clip off and try to take the pin, it's gonna be straight as an arrow. These marks that you're seeing is just me trying to beat the rod out from the bottom with that end that's not protected, which obviously I'm not going to reuse these bearings, and you guys saw the condition of them. But yeah, this is number 3. We're going to put it right there. Going to keep the caps in order because for this particular motor, when I put it together, I just had it sharpied, I did not have it etched. So all right, number 2, same deal. Of course, it's okay to see, you know, some scuffing on the walls because of dirt and stuff like that. Again, guys, look at how freely that ring moves. And same thing over here. This one a little bit more, but again, same ordeal. Another thing is, if the motor's been knocking, you're gonna have a hard time pushing that pin out. And judging from how freely this thing spins, and knowing what clearance we kind of set this up at, even if this pin is slightly bent, yeah, you're gonna have a heck of a time moving that rod, you know, side to side. But again, same thing with the rings. Feels great. I just wanted to do this one shot, not, you know, try to hide anything. Just literally whatever I'm seeing, I'm gonna show you guys. So then we got number 1. Same deal with number 1. Not as bad on this side. A little bit bad on this side. Yep, you guys can see the same trend going down. Something definitely scuffed this. But again, rings are moving freely. So again, guys, if there's any detonation happening, doesn't matter what rings you're using, this top ringland is always going to hammer in, especially at this power level. So and yeah, the pistons, you know, if you just clean it up, they'll literally look brand new. I mean, look at that. These are some nice pistons. And then again, try to move it on the actual pin. Everything looks good. We did have really good luck with these pistons, but like I said, I just didn't like the finish. And our friends at Wisco, shout out to Mike Reed, always hooking us up. Now let's take a look at the cylinders here. Yeah, and we're seeing kind of the same thing, you know, we're seeing some lines that we can't even feel with our fingers. But something, of course, got in there, which is, you know, you're prone to having that, especially if you're not running an air filter. Usually, the intercooler and everything else would catch it, but you are going to have some wear and some debris get inside the motor one way or another. Yeah, crank journals look amazing. We always inspect the top of the deck visually to make sure there's no cracks, and of course, we gotta, you know, mag this to make sure there's no cracks. And other than that, this is the area that we lost the gasket. I mean, I can barely feel the protrusion, so this was the side that I set it super, super low. Again, my engine, so I get to experiment, but when it comes to customer engines, I do not. Look at that, my finger grabs onto this pretty heavy, and on this, it just kind of glides over it. So that's what it was. Of course, when it's super high boost, you know, you want to make sure that O-ring is actually doing what it's supposed to do. And this is what I mean by blowing the side of the head gasket out. I mean, this thing got compromised, but very, very surprised that it was still running as awesome as it was. As a matter of fact, we ran that 60 to 130 time with the same head gasket, but you can see it's just one side. It's just number 4 that took the beating. But yeah, I mean, we are gonna get new valves, of course, new guides, new seals, and all that jazz. So hey guys, everything's looking awesome. Super, super excited, super happy with the outcome. And yeah, oops, the light. So this is just gonna be one video. I'm gonna upload this. This was just the engine being torn down, and then we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do, what the game plan is with this. I think I'm just gonna swap over to the new pistons, maybe put a new hone on there, and you know, just re-bearing it, re-ring it, and call it a day. But I do have to dial bore gauge the bores, see where they're at, what kind of clearance we're gonna end up at. Same thing with the mains. I gotta make sure they're gonna be straight with the new studs. So thank you guys for watching. The next one is gonna be the subframe and everything going in, and you know, getting the car on the trailer and getting it home for now. But after that, it's gonna be fire suppression system, ABS delete, the fuel system, all that good stuff. And of course, we're gonna have a dedicated section for the actual engine build itself. So thank you guys for checking this video out. Make sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I post a video, you guys can get a notification. If you guys like tech content and Evo stuff in general, we do engine building in-house, tuning in-house, A to Z in-house. even some fabrication now in-house. So thank you guys for checking the channel out, the video out. Appreciate the support. We'll